Welcome to the Love What You Do podcast. I'm your host, Doug Shapiro. These are the conversations that open doors to what's possible when you love what you do. I have some good warm-up questions for you, Robbie.
All right.
These are going to be just the warm-ups to loosen up.
All right.
Your most memorable outfit from being a kid.
Oh, from being a kid, that's easy, man. It was ninth grade. I was always like the odd kid in my family, but I embraced it. So I remember going to high school. I was like, all right, well, actually, let me set this up because I went to a private school when I was a kid, and so I had to wear uniforms all the time. So I tried to be very expressive. So I remember going into high school, and I forgot what they were called. I think they were called SKIDZ, skids. They were these like baggy pants. They were black and white plaids. Yeah. And I had these like fake Doc Marten boots because I couldn't afford Doc Martens. And I wore this t-shirt from a band called Fishbone. And that was my first day in high school.
Dang.
Yeah. And I remember meeting one of my best buddies because he's like, I like Fishbone.
That is awesome. Like, that's just such a perfect picture you painted.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was cool. That's absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Let's stay on that path.
Okay.
While you're in memory lane.
Yeah.
First album you bought.
Ooh. So it would have been a tape.
Was it Fishbone?
It probably wasn't. Gosh, the very first one. Oh man, that's a tough one. I can't remember. I was back in the day. I was into a lot of I was into all kinds of music, R&B, hip hop. But then I got into like this phase where I was really into metal, and Fishbone was like hard rock kind of metal, whatever. So I can't remember what it was, but I remember buying a Rush, like that band Rush.
Okay,
tape
yeah.
That they put out like in the late 80s or something like that. That might have been it.
That's pretty good. All right, this is one people struggled with.
Okay.
Career theme song.
Wow.
I think people were afraid to commit. They were afraid to commit to one song.
Oh man, that is tough. Trying to think of what would embody that. There's a Kid Cudi song. No, there's a Lupe Fiasco song.
Okay.
I just never remember the name of it, but it talks about just like how he got through things and pushed on through and it kind of reminds me of like just, challenges. I think we all face challenges. For myself, I feel like getting out on the other side. Like it's like
Yep.
I have on my phone like workout songs, like a playlist. That's the only song on there.
I
just play it on repeat.
Playlist.
Yeah, because it fires me up, man. Yeah.
I love it. All right, awesome. Well, let's get into it. So, hang on a second. Robbie.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Love What You Do podcast. Roby Issac, VP of Design for Mannington Commercial.
Thanks, Doug.
Happy you're here.
Me too.
I know we've kind of curated some topics for today. Culture is a big part of that. Identity is a big part of that. And also maybe some of what's inspired you to get to this point in your career. So let's just start at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
You were a kid at some point, had no idea what design was, had no idea what the textile industry or the flooring industry, you didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
At what point did that change?
Well, man, throwing a big one.
Yeah.
First one is a big question. Okay, so I knew when I was a kid, I knew that I liked to draw. That's all I knew. I just like being creative. I didn't know that it was being creative. I just like to draw. I don't know what made me want to do that, except that I think I was just trying to pass time. I might have talked about this, but like I was in front of the TV for hours and I'd have paper or like a notebook or something like that, and I would just draw things. I still like just doodle. I think it's like part of my nature just to kind of scribble and whatever. But I remember drawing all the time and being in front of the TV all the time. Um,
What was on the TV?
oh gosh, reruns. I mean, I
Okay.
watched everything from like Gomer Pyle to Three's Company. I think that that actually was part of my growing up process because I was born in India and we moved to Philadelphia when I was 4 years old, and so I think I just kind of learning. I don't think I didn't know I was learning, but I was learning through
Huh.
pop culture of reruns.
Yeah.
And so I would just pass time through that. And I remember my aunt saw something that I was drawing one day, and she said something about, "Hey, that's a really good drawing," or something like that. And I remember that being a pivotal moment where I thought, "Wow, that somebody complimented me on something that I didn't even you know, think about. I was just doing it." So I feel like that's maybe where it started at a very young age, just like sort of this confidence boost, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, is that like too early? Like that's probably like the first time.
Well, like you recognize something in yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I like doing it. So I mean, and then throughout grade school, I would, do the same thing. I would just doodle in class or whatever. Found friends that had very similar interests. Remember elementary school, I had a bunch of buddies. We would just like exchange drawings. I mean, we just like come up with something and exchange drawings or whatever. But it wasn't until high school that I thought maybe there's something that I'd want to do with it, like long term or future. Not that you're really thinking about the future in high school, but I thought maybe
Yeah.
there's something there. I was in I took an elective class called video graphics, and I remember this teacher, Miss Barbara Mayman. She
I love how you remember her name.
oh,
That's
I mean
awesome.
these people are important, right, in my life, and so I can't forget them. But I remember it was the video graphics at that time was when you had the big old camcorders you put on your shoulder. And so we had a class. One of the classes was doing stop motion, and I remember coming out of that class, and she said that there was an opportunity for an apprenticeship in an art studio in downtown Philadelphia, Center City, Philadelphia. And she asked if anybody was interested. And I remember being the only person that raised my hand, said, I'm curious. I want to know what that means. I don't know what an apprenticeship is, but I'm
You're like,
curious.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was like the sort of the first step into like the world of art and design, like for real.
Yeah. I mean, this kid with the baggy checkered pants, and the and the fishbone
Yeah,
t-shirt,
yeah, exactly.
I can imagine how that conversation, how she picked you out,
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I don't know, man. Sometimes I just feel like I'm in the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know, you got to seize the opportunity. I didn't realize it was an opportunity. I know now, looking back, that these were opportunities, and like I just stepped in, and I was just curious, But I
What would like, okay, that was that opportunity
yeah,
back then. Like you've progressed in your life and your career. Like, what would an opportunity like that look like today for you?
in what sense? Like,
Like a big learning moment. Like, do you wonder, like, are those harder to find as you get older? Are they harder to find because, like, we know too much? Or is it harder to find because,
yeah,
you stop searching for that? Or I just wonder.
yeah, I think it's harder to find because we're so consumed with our daily to do stuff, our to do list at
Yeah.
home, at work, our responsibilities, and leadership roles, all that stuff. I think we don't have the space to
Hmm.
to explore those curiosities as much, when you're a kid or when I was a kid in high school, like it was either that or sit in front of the TV and draw, But I think for me, I try to be intentional about just keeping my eyes open. If I'm traveling intentionally to look for something, I try to just stay like in the moment, very curious. Or um, if I'm not if I'm traveling without like a purpose for inspiration or whatever, I still try to. I mean, I think it's innate. Like we are, designers. We're just like drawn to understanding things and figuring out why the whys
Yeah.
about it all. So I don't know if there's necessarily those type of specific opportunities. So I try to find it through other things, just kind of being open
Do you still doodle?
all the time.
Did you bring some?
It's in my bag at the
You
hotel.
should go get your
I
doodles.
should, yeah.
Seriously, if you have something.
At the hotel?
Oh, it's at the
It's
hotel.
at the hotel, yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I
right.
doodle all the time.
Well, maybe we'll flash some up on the screen. Just send me some
I will,
photos.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
All right. That's cool. All right. Let's get into identity and culture.
Okay,
I know this has been a journey for you, right?
yeah.
In sort of being introspective, understanding you, your history. Um, where are you in that journey?
In the middle, in the
Okay.
middle.
Yeah.
I think, it was a conversation that you and I had years ago. We were just chatting about something, and we were talking about culture, specifically my background, being Indian, and you asked, "Well, how does it get brought into what I do, whether it's for work or personal creative stuff?" And I, I was like, "Man, I don't know. I don't know if I do." And
It's probably a heavy moment.
it was because again, I think we operate. Well, I operate with like there's a goal in mind. There's a goal in mind, so I gotta approach that. I don't necessarily think like, okay, I'm gonna bring sort of cultural identity into it. And I mean, to get a little bit deeper, growing up in the 80s and 90s as a kid that was from another country, I knew, or at least I believed I needed to assimilate, right? So I mean, that was a tough thing to kind of manage, right? So,
Mm.
living between two identities, right? In the house, I was Indian. I was all Indian, right? Uh, and growing up in school in Philly, I was like, well, I gotta be, Philly or American or whatever. So it was like this duality that I just kind of unknowingly worked through or lived through. And so, being in school, studying design, and being in our professional career, like I kind of learned to say, all right, well, my Indian piece, like a part of me that's Indian, like, yeah, with my family or whatever, that understand it, that embrace it, like that's there. And I was okay. Not necessarily it's not that I wasn't showing it, it just didn't come up in like the
Sure.
professional realm.
Sure.
But when you asked me that question, I was like, man, that's a heavy question that I need to unpack. So I don't know if I've gotten to a point where I can understand like what that means, but it's definitely been on my mind, and that was probably about 2 years ago. So,
So there's like it's more present in you,
yeah.
right? But yeah, like when you said you're in the middle of that journey, I can see how even just the way you're speaking of it, it's like you're still working through like, well, how does it show up?
Yeah.
And
I had a, interesting kind of moment, just about a month ago, went to Mexico City. A colleague of mine and I were there for sort of a design research trip, and we had a chance to visit Casa Azul, Frida Kahlo's home and studio. And she's one of my heroes, just in life, beyond just art, but like the life that she lived. And she had a tragic life in a lot of ways, but she brought so much beauty into the world that we can all appreciate, right? But there's so much within that house and studio that
mm,
talked about like identity. And as we were walking through Mexico City, I thought a lot about how, you know, they're unabashedly proud of their culture and heritage, and it's in all parts of their life. And so I feel like there are these moments that keep popping up where I'm like, man, I got to figure out how to like bring that out more. So I don't,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know where that goes, but definitely been thinking about it for a really long time.
it's I wonder as you design products, spaces that are so that have to be such a chameleon in so many ways because when you design a product, you really don't know where it's going. Like it's one thing to design a building, you know who's in it, you know what its purpose is.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you design a product, it's like, well, I'm not really sure where it's going, so it has to meet a variety of needs,
Yeah.
and I wonder if just being constantly in that world kind of takes, it's not art, it's not necessarily an individual expression
Right.
in the same way.
Yeah. I mean, specifically for like the products that we design, that our team designs, flooring, you're right. We don't know where it's going to go. We don't know what project it's going to be on. So it's got to be versatile. And, there are moments where we can be statement products and we design with a lot of like, punch to it. But a lot of times, you know, we're, um, we're like the supporting actor, or actress or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There are architectural elements that need to shine. Furniture plays a big part, textiles, whatever. So if we're kind of like in the background supporting it all, we're doing our job, right? Um, so in order to be versatile, you have to be a little bit of a chameleon sometimes, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
um, what I try to encourage my team to do is in the beginning stages of development, like, that's where like we have to put that creative punch, like get your like the purely artistic side into it because we can distill it to become that chameleon. But like in the beginning, like, like be like the peacock, like let it shine and then we can like manage it to be usable or whatever it is for the
Huh.
client's project. Yeah.
I love hearing that about your process. I mean, I just your thought process, because being in furniture,
Yeah.
kind of always wonder like, well, how does the other side work? How do
Yeah.
you work through concepts and
Yeah.
think? Um,
Um, I think it's part like I don't get to do as much like behind this screen designing any as much as I'd like to anymore, but that was like my favorite part, kind of just starting very conceptually and then kind of doing my own artwork to get to a stage where then we can start working collaboratively with the business team or the marketing team or operations and getting it into a product that, can be specified.
um, while we're on the subject of products, I know one of the things you hinted at that you were interested in getting into was the concept of longevity in
Mm.
products and the role that plays in sustainability.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go there, if there's some
Yeah, sure.
new thinking you have on that.
Yeah. The topic of sustainability is such a complex one as you know. I mean, it's multifaceted and it encompasses the raw materials to supply chain, like where does it come from, right? To how is it utilized at the end of life. So one thing that we've been talking about at Mannington Commercial is this idea of longevity. We try to build or develop products that can last for a really long time because if there aren't really good end of life solutions for products, unfortunately they go into landfills. And if we can design well-styled products that last for a really long time, until better solutions are figured out, we can keep our products at a landfill
Yeah.
when it's time to replace. I think about this idea of craftsmanship like as a big picture, big word craftsmanship. Craftsmen back in the day were thought to be the people that were highly skilled at making their goods, right? Um, and they built them like they built products that would last for generations. I mean, to hand down from one family member to another, they're like heirloom pieces, right? And I guess like in our total world of disposable thinking, we don't I don't know if we value that as much as we used to, right? Now I don't know if people would think about that same way with flooring, but I think there's a place to have that conversation.
Yeah, I remember this was a this was another conversation we had. I think maybe at an industry roundtable of the past or something. You were telling me about an art piece that you had and how you didn't notice it or think about it very much until you started to clean it.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you started to clean this up, you were thinking about how that person hand was in that same spot
Wow, yeah.
deciding the curve, and that really stuck with I remembered that conversation because I was thinking wow, like, maybe sometimes we totally miss that on products, as we miss thinking about the person who made it.
Yeah, wow, I'm surprised you remember that. I
I
do
mean,
remember that.
it
I was
stuck
thinking like,
with
"What are you
me.
talking about?" Yeah, we have that, I just restored it and put it in our house, so I look at it a lot. It's interesting because it was this piece, this steel piece or something like that, that was, by this, I guess, relatively well-known artist that would do these, pieces. It was like I think it was like the 50s or 60s. The the guy that was selling it said it was sitting in a, like, somebody's front yard for, like, a decade or something, so it was all
My
rusted
gosh.
over or whatever. So I finished everything and he did the proper paint and all that on it, but I left his, he had a signature on this little piece, and I just left it as it was or whatever because, yeah, it was I was like, "Man, this person put a lot of thought into this." Not just the vision of making it, but all the physical work he put into it, but yeah, I mean everything. I mean, even with the furniture that
Yeah.
JSI makes, I mean, there's a lot of thoughtful craftsmanship that's put into these objects, right? And I don't know. Um,
Yeah. There's just countless I mean, standing back, looking at it like, "Should we move that here?" All of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that should be celebrated. I think that should be, you know, considered as valuable
I think
as.
it's part of the longevity story, right? You're gonna bring something into the world that's gonna be here for that long,
Mhm.
like, it needs to be brought in with care,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
because who knows where it goes and who it affects, and we're all products of what we sit in and what we see every day.
Yeah,
It's all I mean, we're all contributing.
yeah. There's a I read a book last year, um, The Meaning of the Making, I think that's
Hmm,
called, or Meaning in the Making. But that's a little tag that we've been throwing around the studio. There is meaning in the making because to your point, like we just don't want to put an object or a product out there just because. There's got to be intentionality behind it and care.
yeah. Um, alright, so we both had a similar experience this January. We were here.
Yeah,
We
right.
were here for a meeting. The meeting kicked off with a magician.
Yes.
Right? Cheryl Durst, made all this happen
All
for
right.
us, right? At the IIDA Industry Roundtable.
Cheryl's kind of
And
like a magician too.
she is she is a magician. Yes. She's a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that magician asked the question, "What is your superpower?"
I remember that. Yes.
So, what was your answer?
Uh, I had to think quickly, but it came quickly too. I said grit. I said, I believe grit is my superpower. Yeah.
Tell me how you got there.
Um, that's a man, you ask all these tough questions.
Because I mean, like, I I don't care what the answer was. I care how you got there.
Yeah. I think it's two. Well, I want to say it's two part, but I think one part influences the bigger thinking. Um, Growing up in Philadelphia, you know, it's it's kind of like a blue collar place, and we have celebrated the grit behind everything we do. It's not, I think with most cities, like there's a lot of grit that you have to power through whatever the situation might be. So I think at an early age, I understood that whether it would have been like family members working really hard or sports teams, disappointing sports teams, or whatever it
Philly
might
has a
be.
curse there.
So I think like, as an impressionable kid, I understood, okay, like getting through things and just powering through is a big deal. But I saw it personally. I saw it with my parents, coming through.
What did your parents do?
Well, when they moved from India, they had to, leave their world of being comfortable and
Mm,
their professions and start all over. And so what they studied over there didn't translate over here, and they're a little bit older, so they didn't go back to school. So they had to, do a lot of odd jobs and whatever. And they just work really hard, and they never complained. And times at times things seemed tough. We were shielded from that a little bit, but I knew that they were just working through things, And as I got older, I understood better, and I knew that they powered through for us and for a better life. And so as I got older and I moved from being like, an idiot kid into somebody that needed to be more responsible, I was like, man, uh there's a responsibility that I have to own up to, like just putting my head down and working hard, and sometimes I might want to complain, but if I understand the goal, I'll just push through,
Yeah.
I mean, even now, like, you know, everything's not easy, but like I know if I can push through on the other side, it's going to be good.
I mean, there's a I don't want to say pressure, but I can't, I'm sure there's a lot of weight involved and knowing the decision your parents made. I'm assuming they made it for you, right? And
Yeah.
for if you had siblings,
Yeah,
and
for me and my brother and sister, yeah.
and it's like, well, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's probably a feeling that you just inevitably have in your
yeah.
situation.
I mean, they were great. They never said like, you know, "Don't disappoint us," or, "F this up," or anything like that, but,
Right.
um, but I think I don't know. I just knew, like, it was the right thing to do because of the sacrifices they made.
So that was your foundation for grit, essentially.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I feel that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I totally feel that. Um, do you have another superpower? Do you have a superpower you wish you had? Like what? Like if you could do anything?
That wasn't on the question list.
No.
Another superpower.
Like I was like, do you want to be able to read minds? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
You don't want
No.
to.
Mm-mm. I don't think so. I like being curious. I like engaging with people. I've never taken those like personality tests, like the disc and all that stuff. Like I purposely avoid those because I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm rebellious and by nature. But like when I was told about it years ago when I was starting out, I was like, if I want to know how to interact with people, I'll just talk to them. Like get to learn who they are and what like, because I think that I like human interaction and I like to converse with people and get to know people, whatever. And then, like I talk to them like they want to be talked to, whatever. So I wouldn't want to know what you're thinking. I just like to get to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah. I see. It would be difficult, honestly, to probably know what people are thinking all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. What if you heard
So
something you
let's
didn't?
rule that superpower out.
Hmm. I don't know. Do you have one?
What would be? Do I have one? I mean, like this is just because it feels like of the age.
Yeah.
Like, it would be really valuable to be like a master prompter at this point.
Prompter?
Yeah,
Like in what way? Like getting
like
people to do stuff?
no,
No.
like in the way of like we're living in this AI world, and like
Oh. Oh
kind of
yeah.
feel like we're like there's this mountain of possibility,
Yeah.
and the only thing, or there's a mountain of answers. The only thing that stands between like the answers we're seeking are the ability to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I had like the best question asking
Yeah.
superpower, like that would be a really cool, even if it wasn't for AI, but just for other people.
Yeah.
Um, I've been exploring this idea of questions. I actually feel like there's questions in general are so underrated
Hmm.
because I've been in meetings where someone asks a question in the meeting and all of a sudden everything changes.
Hmm.
Like the way we thought about whatever it is we came together for changes because this person asked a question that made us all think differently.
Yeah.
And so I start seeing the questions as more important than the answers. Um,
I
and
believe
like
that.
even like, as in the what, when you're designing, and I just feel like we don't spend a lot of time getting great at questions.
Yeah.
We're not raised to. I mean, if you look at our education,
Yeah. Right.
like no one's like, who here has a great question?
Yeah.
Instead, you get asked a question, you're
Yeah.
expected to answer it. I would love to ask actually my kids who are all in school, your kids too,
Yeah.
like, does the teacher ever ask you on a test for questions?
Yeah. Right.
Never.
Never. You
And
know,
so I just wonder about that, and I feel like we're missing something.
I don't know if it relates exactly to that, but what you said earlier about I think if I could choose a superpower, I'd like to be able to process things faster. I think because I always I'm so inquisitive about things. I take a long time to think through things. So my responses take a long time sometimes. Um, and I hear that from like friends and family, people at work, like I'm just processing. Like, so there's a lot of times where I'm quiet, but I wish I could process things because things are moving so fast. I'd love to be able to hear things, whether it's like data or responses like, to questions and
Yep.
be able to piece them together really fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
I
like
mean,
that superpower.
internal processing power would
Yeah,
be nice.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So when I ask you your career theme song,
Yeah.
it just comes to you, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, that's I could see that one. All right, is there a question maybe you hope I'd ask you
Hmm.
that I haven't asked?
Let's see. We didn't talk about the experience at the fabric workshop. Do you wanna hear any
Oh,
of that?
yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
All right, so let's go this way. Is there a story you love to tell?
Yes. Um, sometimes people will ask, like, "How did I get into the world of textile design?" And, I mean, I could talk about it forever, but essentially, it was the apprenticeship that I had at that art studio in Philadelphia. It is called the Fabric Workshop and Museum. Um, it's an art studio. They called it an arts laboratory that this benefactor started years ago. She was very interested in the arts, and she start built this studio and invited contemporary artists of the time to come in and work with studio staff. So what the Fabric Workshop does is they create fabric. They silk screen onto fabric, and they do basically what's called repeat yardage fabric, so that you can take this fabric and do anything you want with it, like any fabric. Um, the artists that would come in to work with the studio staff were people that didn't necessarily know about fabric. They would be photographers or sculptors or video installation artists, mixed media artists. And so when I became part of the apprenticeship program, my job was to just kind of like do whatever they asked me to. So sometimes it was mixing pigments to get the color right for that fabric. Sometimes it was pinning fabric. Sometimes it was like running errands, going to get stuff for whoever, right? But being there allowed me to see this like really cool world of contemporary art. And so the apprenticeship program was supposed to last about 3 months, I think the summer months, right? Well, afterwards, I was invited back because I won a scholarship. And so um, I did that, and then I got a job doing like being a studio assistant. So I'd give tours of the museum, and so that 3 month stint ended up being, I feel like, 6 years. And
Ah,
so I built a really great relationship with the artist there. And I remember one day I was working on getting fabric set up to be printed, and I was kind of complaining a little bit about the the program that I was in at school at college, and I was studying biology at the time, and I was just like, "God, pinning fabric, I hate this, I don't wanna be in a lab, blah, blah, blah." And one of the, studio artists said, "You should check out this school called the Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science. It's just down the road." I was like, "What?" And I'm pinning this fabric. I'm like, "What's a textile?" And she's like, "You've been working with it for the last 6 years. You're an idiot." But she's like, "You should go check it out. That you can see how it's made and all that stuff." And so I did, and I I loved it. I mean, I felt like I saw
wow.
my people. They were all in the studio working on looms, and like there was fabric everywhere, colors, and I mean, the vibe fit. And so I switched out of biology into this new school and this new program, and yeah, I found my people, and I've been doing it ever
That's
since.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you ever wonder, like, if you didn't have the courage to switch out of biology?
Oh man.
Like, I feel like there's so many forks in the road.
Yeah.
Some of them, like, that happened. Like, you can put a finger on it.
Yeah.
That was a moment, right? But, like, there are probably so many that you haven't even thought about? Or,
Oh, yeah.
are there any other forks in the road? Like, 'cause that was a great one. Like, but is there another? I mean, obviously you met your wife somehow,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
That could have been one. I
Yeah,
mean,
actually, so when I went to that new school, the Philadelphia College of Textiles, which is now Jefferson University, um, I met a friend, her name is Julie, that was part of the same program. Well, Julie graduated and moved to California and got a job in the flooring industry. We didn't learn about flooring, but somehow she got a job in the flooring industry. So I graduated, and Julie's company had a job opening. So I moved out to California, started working. Well, while I was out there, Julie's friend Heather was visiting just for the summer or whatever. And Heather and I started hanging out, and now we've been married for over 20 years.
that's
So
wild.
that's a definite fork in the road.
Totally. Like you don't go to Cali, you
Yeah,
don't meet Heather, you
yeah,
don't have a family. I mean, well,
exactly.
you do, but it's a different
It's a
family.
different, yeah, exactly.
Not near as cool as the one you have now, of
Yeah,
course.
definite fork in the road. Yeah.
I love it, man. I like thinking about that stuff just because you just become grateful for, like, gosh, now you're sitting in this chair,
Yeah,
like none of it that's crazy.
absolutely. I remember that that time there were two of us that were trying to get that job in California, and it was another graduate from my school, and she passed up on the opportunity. So if she had said yes, like same
Oh
thing,
my
like I don't
gosh,
know what,
that's
where I'd be
crazy.
or whatever.
In
Yeah,
some
think about
ways
that.
in some ways, like, things feel more fragile,
Hmm.
when someone else's decision could have changed
Yeah,
your life. Like, wait, you didn't have control. Like, that makes it makes your whole life feel more fragile.
yeah. Oh, I know.
I don't know.
Like it's hanging on the balance of like a lot of other decisions, right? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? I'm getting lost. Robbie, it's always great to talk to you.
Same here,
Um,
Doug.
this is in the spirit of love what you do. All right. Help me finish this sentence.
Yeah.
When you love what you do,
Say that again. Oh,
yeah, I'll
all right.
wait till that guy passes. All right. So in the spirit of love what you do,
Yeah.
help me finish this sentence. When you love what you do,
When you love what you do, it's all worthwhile. I mean, it's no secret that we all human beings are living under so much pressure, right? Like pressure to perform at work, with the family, whatever it might be, right? I think when you love what you do, it helps you have this foundation of like a solid foundation. I mean, for me, I feel like it's a foundation that's built on like gratitude and thankfulness and, just appreciation, that I get to do something that I love and it doesn't feel like it's a burden.
mm,
I get to in our really cool industry, I get to interact with a lot of wonderful people, amazingly talented people. I get to actively think about products that are going into the world and try to be responsible with it. And if I do it well, I think it's all worth the while.
I love that. You are so rooted in appreciation. I think it's, um, maybe, let me ask you, you know, you, you talked about your parents. I want to go back there because
Yeah.
this is taking me in that direction.
Okay.
Sorry. I
Yeah.
was going to close. Now I'm not. I'm going to keep going.
All right.
Uh, you talked about, your parents sort of putting down a career, right? And then picking up odd jobs,
Yeah.
right? When they moved here. Um, like, is love what you do? Is it the thing you do, or is it the person who's doing it? Meaning, where did they get there?
And loving what they did.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they didn't, they never showed it. I
Okay.
mean, I think they ended up doing the thing that they did for many years, but it was hard, you know. And they would talk about it being hard, but they were. I mean, my mom's not with us anymore, but she was. I mean, she was always like, a happy person. Like I remember her as a happy person, and my dad. Um, thank God he's still with us, and they did what they had to do. They didn't complain, and so maybe it's the person. Yeah,
All right. Well,
yeah.
you are that person,
Thanks,
Robbie.
man.
You are the
I
person.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks for being a part of this.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me here on Love What You Do.